He will take over the largest embassy in the world on July 1st if he is confirmed, and it does look like he will be. 3,000 people will be in the Baghdad embassy, 500 of them CIA. Now, yes, he has a very sordid past. And the question is, will the media expose it? Well, that really depends on whether the Democrats will, which is a very unfortunate statement. The media should be completely independent. But New York Times quoted Democratic officials saying that they're not going to raise his past, calling it ancient history. People like Christopher Dodd said they need someone in Iraq right now, and so they are not going to contest John Negroponte. Now, that doesn't mean the media shouldn't do it, but the question is, will the media do it? In the time leading up to the invasion of Iraq, the media almost blocked out all dissent. Why? Because it reflects the establishment consensus, and before the invasion, almost all of the Democrats supported President Bush. And when you have that consensus, the media rarely diverges from it. Now, the Democrats are trying to distinguish themselves from the Republicans, so you see a little more of a debate. The spectrum opens a little bit. But if people think that means the media is getting better, I think you should think again. It simply means the Democrats are speaking out on some issues. But when you take the issue of John Negroponte, they have said they will not make an issue of this. We have to challenge that. There is a reason our profession is protected by the US Constitution, and it's the only profession that is. Because we are supposed to be a check and balance on those in power, in both parties. We are supposed to be holding those in power accountable. And it really is a matter of life and death. There is reason to be hopeful. And it's because people realize you really can make a difference by speaking out. During the Persian Gulf War, I got a call while I was on WBAI. It was during a fundraising drive, and after the news, I was railing against the bombing of the cradle of civilization, Back to the Cradle. And one of the volunteers ran in and said the Sally Jesse Raphael show is on the line. I didn't believe her, and so I kept talking, and she kept coming back in. Now, volunteers are the heart of community radio. I just thought this one was hallucinating. And so, but she kept coming back, and to appease her, I picked up the phone, and there was a producer from the Sally Jesse Raphael show. She said she was listening to the show in her limousine. I guess the chauffeur had turned it on. And she wanted to know if I would come on the program. She wanted to have 3 women for the war and 3 women against the war. And it would be in 2 days. And I said, sure, and I was excited to come on the program. Figured out what to wear, big day, you know. Whether to dress as a man, dressed as a woman, dressed as a man, dressed as a woman. Anyway, I figured out what to wear and went on down to the studios, and they put the women against the war in a different green room than the women for the war, because they said they really wanted us to mix it up once we got out on the stage and not before. And this young producer came up and said, I really want to make this work. I want to get a show, prove that a show can get ratings that really does matter. And whether you work inside the system or outside the system, that isn't what matters. What matters is that you can accomplish what you set out to. And as long as you can do that, then you should continue to do that. When you find that you are thwarted too many times, you find another way to do it. And here was this young producer, and I thought it was a very good idea. She said, so let it be fireworks. She said, don't be afraid to shout out your opinion. Just really mix it up. I said, sure. And so we went out on the stage, and the lights came on, and the music was there, and the video started rolling, and this would air in a few days around the country. And Sally came out. She immediately gave her microphone to a woman in the audience who said, I'm really concerned about the chemical and biological weapons of Saddam Hussein. To which the woman to my right, Dr. Yolanda Hewitt Vaughn, who was an Army captain, trained as a doctor, refusing to fight in the Gulf, refusing to go to the Gulf because she said she was trained to save lives, not take them, said, I share your concern, but it's also important to point out that we have chemical and biological weapons right here in the United States. And before she could get out the word states, Sally whirled around, she came barreling down the aisle, and she started shouting, "You be quiet, you shut up, or you get out. This is my show." And she was coming down at such velocity and coming up on the stage. I mean, I hadn't really seen this show before. You know, the whole Jerry Springer thing? I mean, the producer had said, you know, "I really want you to duke it out," but is this what she meant? I thought she was going to strike Dr. Yolanda Hewitt-Vaughn. And so as she was coming up on stage, I said, "Whoa, Sally, back off." I mean, not that Dr. Yolanda Hewitt-Vaughn couldn't take care of herself, but she was so soft-spoken, and she had hair tied back, big glasses, long black dress, hands clasped in her lap. She looked almost Amish. And then in the audience, you know, they told us to bring friends, you know, to fill the audience, and I brought folks over from WBI, and they started chanting, "Free speech, free speech." You can dress them up, but you can't take them anywhere. So anyway, Sally started to break down. And the producers came out and started to cradle her and rock her back and forth, saying, "It's okay, Sally, it's okay." The 6 of us women, it was our one moment of unity for the show. We looked in absolute shock at the spectacle of a person seeming like she had never heard another point of view before. I mean, if this happens to one person, could you imagine if the whole world got to hear someone saying the word peace? Anyway, somehow the producers convinced her to carry on with the program. Oh, well, there was one caveat. We would have to raise our hands if we had anything to say. The guests. I mean, I'd never seen that before except on Sesame Street, but we moved forward with the show. And it was a great program. We really hashed it out. It was 3 women for and against the war. The other 5 women besides me were all military. 2 of them opposed and 3 for. And we had a serious discussion. Sally showed videotape of the protesters in Washington, and she asked me, "Who are these people?" I didn't know everyone's name, but I could swear, though, I saw Francis in the corner. But I said, these are people who are exercising their patriotic duty. They are, remember it was winter with Persian Gulf War, leaving the warmth of their homes and their families and their TV sets, and they are coming out onto the streets because they feel it's their civic duty to do this. And I applauded Sally. I said, for not just showing the video, because occasionally we will actually even see that in the corporate media, but the problem is most people don't identify with 10, 100,000 people marching in the streets. In fact, it alienates people. And why do they do that? They do that because they are not invited into the network studios to have a civilized discussion about their views, like Henry Kissinger, who is invited in quite often and can calmly explain why he supports every invasion. And so they can only hope that on a global warming day, a CBS executive will open his window and their chant of "no war" will waft in and perhaps hit an open microphone. But I said, Sally, I congratulate you for going beyond the videotape and inviting us in to have a discussion. And we talked like that. I said, as the granddaughter of an Orthodox rabbi, it is horrifying to see little Israeli children wearing gas masks. But it's more horrifying to see little Palestinian children without gas masks. And that's the kind of conversation that we had.